Okay, we're back on this lovely afternoon. Time to talk about the Gula Geechee Ferry dock collapse in Georgia. Let's get into it. Our Talk Radio, live in 4K. For use.
7 people dead after part of a dock for ferries collapses in Georgia.
We realized that we had possibly 20 people or more that had went into the water because of the collapse of this gangway.
It happened just before 4 Saturday afternoon at the Marsh Landing dock on Sapelo Island, 60 miles south of Savannah.
But as of now, we have recovered 7 victims that lost their lives because of this incident.
Among the dead, a chaplain for the State Department of Natural Resources, which operates the dock and the ferries that shuttle people between the island and mainland. Crowds had gathered for a fall celebration by the island's community of slave descendants when the gangway collapsed. Emergency crews using boats equipped with sonar and helicopters to attempt to rescue people who fell into the water. Busloads of survivors taken to a nearby church where they waited to reunite with family members.
That's what we do. We're missionary, and we try to help people who are in need, and it was a time of need.
So let's bring in Faith Abube, who is live in Georgia. Faith, I mean, it's really unbelievable how this went from a celebration to a tragedy. What are you hearing from the witnesses about the moments leading up to what happened?
Yeah, just like you said, this was supposed to be a big celebration of the Gula Geechee community. They've been doing this for years now. A lot of these people, hundreds of people, came this year. The first time this festival was so large after COVID, and they had a great time, according to witnesses we've spoken to so far. And they were still talking about that festival as they were at that loading dock waiting for the ferry to arrive. A couple we just spoke with, they were there, they witnessed it all. They tell me that they were walking on the gangway. Think of it as a jet bridge to a plane. Instead, that jet bridge goes to a floating dock in the water, which then, helps you get to the ferry. So they were on that narrow walkway, and then they started feeling it shifting. And the husband tells me that he felt it slip in a way that was real uncomfortable for him, and so he decided to jump onto the loading dock, the floating dock on in the water. And right after he did that, the gangway slipped one side of.
Okay, so let's get into what others have to say about this. Just pretty interesting.
Crowd of people on there at one. Just felt like it was unsafe because I felt like it was a crowd of people on there at one time. It bounced too much, and I'm not 100% sure, but that looks like what happened.
What we do know from a news conference earlier today is that there are still 7 people who have been confirmed dead. There are 3 people who remain in critical condition at the hospital. Of course, others were injured as well, as this horrific scene played out yesterday just before 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, authorities say at this point their preliminary investigation indicates that this was a structural failure. They called it a catastrophic failure of the gangway. As to how that exactly happened, they have reconstruction teams, structural engineers who are out there by the dock who are trying to figure all of that out. Where we are right now is actually where they catch the ferry, visitors catch the ferry and head to the island, about a 30-minute ride away. And so all of those investigations are happening on the island, about 30-minute ferry ride from here. And at this point, officials were promising residents that they would try to get them answers.
Many in the Gula Geechee community are seeking answers from the Georgia Department of Natural Natural Resources. The agency runs the dock and the ferry. So joining me now to talk about this is McIntosh County resident J.R. Grosvenor. J.R., thanks so much for taking the time. I know you were at that press conference this morning. You said that you noticed some instabilities in the gangway months ago. I know Faith was talking about you at the end there of her report. You reported it to the Georgia DNR, to at least to an employee there. What happened with that complaint as you know it, and what do you think needs to be done?
Well, I made the complaint about a month ago to one of the employees. I made an in-person complaint while we were there. But we noticed when the kids walked out the dock or run on the dock bounced. So what I actually did is walked on the gangway in front of the employee and sort of bounce up and down to show them how bounce.
They need to be sued. They need to be sued. Oh, but wait, there's more.
About 4 months ago, I reported to one of the DNR employees that the gangway wasn't safe. I'm J.R. Grosvenor. I live on Sapelo. I travel there back and forth every day. I told him that the gangway wasn't safe because it was me on there by myself. It was given. I want to know, was it reported to you? Or if you wasn't here then, was it reported to any of the DNR folks? A couple of years ago, I reported that a bridge on the island was unsafe. 2 days later, the bus went through it. When are y'all gonna start listening to us descendants on the island about what's going on?
Again,
We report a lot of stuff to DNR that don't get reported. I reported to the U.S. Coast Guard a couple of years ago a safety concern about the vessel. I'm a captain myself, so I know Coast Guard rules and regulations. The Anna Marie on the port side, the railing can't even go in the hole. DNR put a sign there that says stay off rail. So a kid don't know that. A kid can fall off of the boat and go right up under the props. When we report stuff like to this, we get brushed off. And we're people that know the safety on what Sapelo takes to operate, but we always get ignored about safety concerns. We're supposed to get a helicopter pad for the county. Yesterday, the helicopter had to land in about 3 feet of grass out in Steve Field where the hogs rooting up at. And I know Sapelo, and I know that the hogs root in the field because one of the guys toting the stretcher almost tripped in that thing.
sir, this is all an ongoing investigation, and it's too early for us to speculate.
Oh, no. You had 4 months to get this done. And he talking about a couple of you have numerous reports of what's going on. Man, listen. Don't try to no. No. Mm-mm.
On what the cause of this was.
Stuff over for the state, but we're concerned as residents of Sapelo and descendants.
And we understand.
And I think it's important that
No, you don't. You don't understand. You want the land. That's what's happening.
we immediately say from our community hearts, Sycars, the families on Sapelo, that we are truly sorry. It should come from us in terms.
They should be saying that. Prove it to you that they want the land. They ain't doing nothing because they want that land. That's what it's about.
Folks come in with bulldozers, and the first thing we see is they want to dig up what we've already had for all these generations. And then they want to build something that's antithetical to our culture.
Golf courses, resorts, and condos have replaced Gullah communities. Hilton Head Island was the first to be developed. Once home to about 300 Gullah families, the 42-square-mile island is now home to 26 golf courses, brings in 2 million tourists a year, and is considered one of the top vacation destinations in the United States. Gullah burial grounds dating back to the days of slavery are now the backyards of million-dollar condos in opulent gated communities that new locals fondly call plantations. That development boom is slowly spreading to other areas nearby.
You can hear right now construction in the distance, something else being built.
Yep. One of the things that you'll notice that you'll never see outside of Gullah Geechee homes usually are signs like that. No trespassing.
Well, that's part of the interesting thing is that the land that the Gullah Geechees own, it's all communally owned.
Absolutely, yeah. Most people live on what is in the law called heirs property. And that's because our ancestors during the U.S. Civil War now bought property. And so Gullah Geechees became the first group of people of African descent in North America to own land en masse.
Gullah landowners sought to own the land communally among their extended family. Over generations, this communally owned land was passed down to hundreds of heirs, often without legal documents like wills or clear titles.
That was a bad decision. You should have clear titles and wills.
An informal shared ownership system developed, which came to be known as heirs property. Until recently, heirs property arrangements kept family properties from being sold because families depended on the land and each other. But today, developers are using legal loopholes to acquire heirs property, sometimes for pennies on the dollar, whether the people living there want to sell or not.
And that's what's going on. That is what's going on right here. You own that property, don't sell it. Okay? Sue DNR. Get an outside contractor to repair that bridge, that dock bridge, and protect your land by any means necessary. Our economy is going to the toilet. All right. White supremacy is showing its teeth. All right, that's all I got to say for now. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Anything you want to know about it, tell us in the description box. Later. What are your thoughts about this? Do you think that this was done on purpose by DNR to purposely just let that ferry dock bridge just deteriorate? Let me know what you think in the comments later.